Your openness isn't a virtue, it's a critical flaw that marks you as prey. Every stated ambition becomes a chain others will use to bind and bypass you. You have been taught that clarity is strength, that stating your intention is a sign of confidence, that putting it out into the universe is how you achieve it. This is not merely incorrect. It is a poison distilled for the masses, designed to keep them circling the perimeter of true power. Your first lesson begins with a surgical correction. In the hierarchy of human dynamics, transparency is not a virtue, it is the signature of a target. It is the fatal error that precedes every historical downfall, every personal defeat, every missed ascension. Consider the foundational metaphor. You are not in a seminar, you are in a theater of silent war. Every social and professional environment is a layered landscape of competing interests. To announce your true goal is to illuminate yourself on a darkened stage. You become a fixed point, a static coordinate for every other actor to triangulate. Their motivations are not yours. The colleague you confide in measures your ambition against their own security. The friend you share with subconsciously recalibrates their perception of you, often with a latent resentment. The institution you declare your loyalty to now possesses a lever, your desire, which it will use to extract maximum compliance for minimum reward. Your goal is precious cargo. Why would you transport it on an open cart through contested territory? We must dismantle the sentimental programming. The urge to share your aim stems from two profound weaknesses, a desire for validation and a lack of disciplined patience. You seek the dopamine of acknowledgement, the reassuring nod that says your path is correct. This outsourcing of confidence is itself a confession of uncertainty. True conviction is a silent engine. It requires no external approval to fuel its rotation. Furthermore, revealing the endgame shortcuts the struggle in your mind, granting you a phantom sense of accomplishment. You have traded the tangible pressure required to achieve for the fleeting warmth of being seen as aspirational. You have consumed your own seed corn. History's ledger, written by the victors, is a testament to the power of the concealed intent. Machiavelli observed the ruin of those princes who believed their nobility should be visible in all things. Sun Tzu's supreme art of war was to win without fighting, a principle impossible if your strategy is broadcast. Every revolutionary who succeeded did so from the shadows until the moment of irreversible action. Every failed one was betrayed by a mouth that moved too soon. This is not anecdote. It is the calculus of power. The moment your true objective is known, the ecosystem around you begins to adapt, not to help you, but to absorb you, divert you, or eliminate you as a threat. Your goal ceases to be yours alone. It becomes a variable in everyone else's equation. Therefore, the initial shift is not behavioral, but philosophical. You must adopt a new lens. See every interaction as an intelligence operation. Your words are not expressions of truth, but calibrated disclosures. Your demeanor is not a window to your soul, but a curated exhibit. This is the price of sovereignty. The man who cannot keep his own counsel is a man forever in counsel with others, and thus forever subject to their influence. Your silence is the fortress wall. Your stated goal, until the moment of its inevitable manifestation, is a decoy, a plausible, mundane, and non-threatening narrative that draws no fire, incites no rivalry, and invites no sabotage. The true work happens behind it. The first step to silent conquest is to understand that every revelation is a strategic decision, and for the true goal, the only correct decision is to bury it so deep within your own operational silence that not even you feel the need to speak it aloud. This chapter has framed the disease. The following will dissect the exact mechanism of the infection. Concealment is not a passive act of omission. It is an active, disciplined engineering of reality. To understand this, you must first discard the simplistic notion of lying. The liar is engaged in a direct adversarial contest. He knows the truth, his opponent suspects a facade, and energy is wasted in the tension between the two. This is inefficient and unstable. The silent conqueror operates on a superior principle, the strategic construction of a complete and plausible secondary reality. Your true goal is protected not by a single lock, but by an entire decoy city built around it. The core mechanism is a psychic operation known as decoupled intent. This is the conscious, rigorous separation of your internal strategic reality from your external performative reality. Internally, you are a sovereign state with a single, focused objective. Every decision, resource, and thought is aligned toward this terminus. Externally, you project the coherent identity of a different sovereign state, one with benign, unthreatening, or even mundane aims. This is not a split mind, but a layered one. The performative layer must be so fully realized, so authentically inhabited, that it emits no signal of deception. It must pass the most stringent test. It must be boring. It must be so credible in its modest aspirations that it deflects all scrutiny, because scrutiny is only attracted to heat, to threat, to possibility. Your decoy narrative should be a heat sink, not a radiator. The tool for maintaining this decoupling is the internal ledger. Within your strategic reality, you maintain a ruthless accounting. Every person is assessed not as friend or foe, but as an asset, a neutral party, or a threat relative to your true goal. Every piece of information is categorized as either essential, useful, or disposable. Every conversation is an intelligence gathering session or a calibrated release of your performative narrative. This ledger is never written, only memorized and coldly updated. It allows you to navigate the external world without ever contaminating your internal objective with emotional reactions or unforced disclosures. When you speak from the performative layer, you are not holding back the truth. You are faithfully representing the fictional entity you have created for consumption. This is the actor's mastery, applied not to a stage, but to the entirety of your social existence. The fuel that powers this mechanism is disciplined patience, which is the direct negation of the child's need for instant gratification. The weak mind seeks the sugar rush of recognition, the climax of declaring this is who I am and what I will do. The strategic mind derives its satisfaction from the silent, iterative process of building. The pleasure is in the daily movement, the unseen accumulation of advantage, the quiet solving of problems that no one else knows exist. This recalibration of reward is critical. If you require external validation to feel progress, you will eventually bleed your true intent into the open. Your validation must come solely from the private ticking of boxes on your internal ledger, from the observable gap, visible only to you, between where you were and where you are in relation to the concealed goal. Failure in this mechanism is not a mistake. It is a structural collapse. It occurs at the point of verbal or behavioral leakage, where a flash of true intent crosses into the performative layer. This is typically triggered by emotional stimulus, pride, anger, insecurity, or a desperate bid for connection. Each leak is a fracture in the decoy city's wall, a pinpoint of heat that sophisticated observers will detect. Therefore, the mechanism includes constant monitoring and repair. You must audit your own performances, not with self-criticism, but with the cold eye of a director reviewing footage. Was the cover story consistent? Did the emotional reaction serve the performance or betray the strategy? This is the maintenance required of a weapon kept silent. It is the price of operating at a level where your left hand's actions perfectly obscure your right hand's objective, leaving the world to see only the benign, unremarkable whole. Observe the landscape of the defeated. They are not marked by a lack of ambition, but by a specific, catastrophic failure in information discipline. Their true goals are not stolen. They are willingly surrendered through identifiable speech patterns. These are not personalities. They are pathologies, behavioral prisons where sovereignty goes to die. Diagnose yourself here. If you recognize your reflection, understand you are currently inhabiting a cell of your own construction. First, the Braggart. This is the most primitive leak. He mistakes the announcement of a goal for the achievement of it. He believes declaring his intent projects strength and commands respect. In reality, it functions as a public pressure release valve. The psychological reward of saying I will start an empire is cannibalized from the reward of actually building it. His speech is a performance for an audience he believes is his court, but is in fact a gallery of future obstacles. Every person who hears his proclamation now subconsciously holds him to it, creating a network of silent judges. More dangerously, it alerts every potential rival to his direction and mobilizes opposition before he has moved a single piece. The braggart's true goal is suffocated under the weight of premature expectations and painted targets. His archetype's motto, "I have told you, therefore I am." Second, the complainer. More insidious than the braggart, he leaks through the back door of victimhood. He speaks not of his ambitions, but of the obstacles blocking them, the unfair boss, the broken system, the lack of resources. He believes he is merely expressing frustration, but he is in fact broadcasting his operational map. Every complaint reveals a pressure point, a perceived weakness, a locus of his attention and resentment. To a strategic listener, this is a gift. It reveals exactly where he is vulnerable, what he desires but cannot attain, and how he can be controlled, by either subtly reinforcing the obstacle or posing as the one who can remove it. His true goal is hidden in the negative space of his grievances, clear as day to anyone who listens analytically. He is an open book written in cipher, believing himself mysterious while handing others the key. Third, the Justifier. This prisoner is enslaved by the need for moral sanction. He cannot act unless his goal is wrapped in a socially acceptable narrative. He speaks of creating value, helping others, or following his passion. These may be components of the goal, but for him, they are the forefront, the necessary packaging to make his ambition palatable even to himself. This constant justification is a leak of energy and focus. More critically, it binds his strategy to a framework of perceived morality, which his competitors, unburdened by such needs, will not share. He must check every move against his stated noble cause, while his opponent simply moves. His need to explain himself is a chain that slows every action. He reveals his goal through the elaborate scaffold of reasons he builds around it, exposing the shape of the treasure by meticulously describing the fortress walls. Fourth, the seeker of validation. The most subtle and perhaps most pathetic of the prisoners. He does not shout his goals or lament his barriers. He seeks incremental, encouraging nods. He shares ideas to test the waters, fragments of plans to gauge reaction. He phrases his ambition as a question. Do you think it would be crazy to try X? This is the deepest form of weakness, the outsourcing of one's own internal compass. Every seeking probe is a leak of strategic direction and, more damningly, a leak of power. It shows he does not trust his own judgment. It invites others to shape his path. With every "what do you think?" he voluntarily makes himself a puppet, placing the strings of his ambition into the hands of the mediocre, the jealous, and the indifferent. His true goal is slowly edited and diluted by a committee of the uninformed until it is no longer his own. Recognizing these archetypes in yourself is the first step toward correction. They are not fixed identities. They are behavioral scripts written by a culture that profits from your transparency. Each is a different method of surrendering the silent, sovereign authority required for true conquest. You are either the warden of your own intention, or you are one of these prisoners, announcing your sentence to the world with every uncalculated word. The diagnosis is complete. The treatment begins with a vow of silence. To believe this is merely a modern strategic preference is to misunderstand the fabric of power itself. We are not discussing tactics. We are examining a law of human nature as immutable as gravity. History is not a tale of great men proclaiming their dreams and then achieving them. It is the chronicle of those who mastered the temporal dimension of revelation, who understood that power coalesces in the shadows and dissipates in the spotlight. The cost of premature disclosure is not a setback. It is a structural elimination from the hierarchy of consequence. Let the record of the past sterilize any lingering sentiment you hold about the virtue of openness. Examine the strategic ledger of survival and dominance. Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon, an act of treasonous insurrection, but he did not first convene the Senate to announce his intentions. He moved, and then the world knew. The Borgias did not send out manifestos detailing their plots for papal domination. They extended invitations to banquets. Every successful intelligence agency operates on the principle of need to know, not because of paranoia, but because operational integrity demands it. In contrast, study the graveyard of failed revolutions. The ones that were celebrated in salons and pamphlets long before the first barricade was built. They were infiltrated, neutralized, or massacred. The goal, once spoken, entered the ecosystem and was metabolized by the immune system of the status quo. The silent coup succeeds, the loud revolt is crushed. This pattern is not coincidence. It is calculus. This law scales from empires to the individual. In the social and professional hierarchy, your true goal is a form of concentrated value. To speak it is to offer dilution. Institutions, corporations, academic circles, even social groups, are collective organisms with a primary drive, self-preservation and homeostasis. When you announce a goal that exceeds your assigned station, to found a company, to leapfrog your manager, to reshape the social circle, the institutional immune system activates. You will be met with helpful advice that steers you back to convention, with sudden administrative hurdles, with a withdrawal of support, or with preemptive sabotage from those whose position is threatened by your silent assent. The institution tolerates stated ambition only when it is fully aligned with the institution's own goals, a managed, domesticated form of striving that expands the entity's power, not your own. Your true goal must be alien to the host until it is too late for the host to reject it. On a psychological level, the act of speaking a goal triggers a fundamental self-deception. The brain struggles to distinguish between vivid simulation and actual achievement. When you detail your plan to dominate a market or master a skill, you receive a neurochemical reward, a sense of accomplishment, that actually drains the motivational tension required to execute the laborious, unglamorous work. You have, in essence, claimed the prize before running the race. This is why the loudest starters are rarely the ones at the finish line. They have consumed the fuel for the journey at the departure gate. History's true actors understood this. They channeled that psychic tension inward, letting it fester and build into an unstoppable internal pressure that could only be released through action, not speech. Their silence was not an absence. It was a chamber building potential energy. Therefore, this is not strategy. It is a law. The law of premature revelation. Any true goal, once introduced into the social or informational ecosystem before you possess the irreversible power to enact it, will generate equal and opposite resistance. This resistance will manifest as direct opposition, competitive entry, institutional friction, or the internal dissipation of your own drive. Your only defense is operational darkness. You must become a strategic phantom, your presence felt only through the consequences of your actions, never through the declarations of your intent. Your biography should be written retrospectively, not announced prospectively. The past is littered with the skeletons of those who believed their dreams were safe in the ears of others. They were not. They never are. Theory is meaningless without protocol. Understanding the law of silence is not enough. You must now engineer your daily existence around it. This is the transition from philosopher to operator. Operational security, OPSEC, is a term borrowed from military intelligence, and for the sovereign individual, it is no less critical. Your life must become a series of secure compartments. The following are the non-negotiable protocols for constructing a human fortress around your intent. Protocol 1. The construction of the cover story. You must craft a believable, mundane, and strategically inert narrative for your ambitions. This is not your passion project. It is a plausible, secondary interest that explains your time allocation and minor efforts without hinting at the true strategic depth. If your true goal is to build a financial empire, your cover is learning about personal finance and maybe some conservative investments. It is boring, relatable, and deflects further inquiry. This story must be consistent, repeated without variation, and reinforced by visible, minor actions that sell the narrative. Leaving a popular finance book on your desk, making an offhand comment about a savings account. The cover story absorbs curiosity and neutralizes suspicion. Protocol 2. The control of verbal emissions. Implement a 3-second filter on all statements regarding goals, struggles, or the future. Before speaking, audit. Does this reveal a true strength, a true weakness, or a true direction? If yes, reformulate the statement to align with your cover story or remain silent. Eliminate definitive future statements. I'm going to be. I will start. Replace them with vague, present-oriented observations. I'm curious about. I find that interesting. Your speech pattern must become a flat line of ambition. Kill the need to contribute, to impress, to seem deep. Let others fill the silence with their own leaks. You will collect intelligence while offering none. Protocol 3. Information diet and environmental control. Your inputs shape your outputs. You cannot maintain silence if you are consuming content that glorifies public declaration, the motivational speeches, the transparency peddling podcasts, the social media culture of oversharing. Purge them. Replace them with historical accounts, biographies of strategists, and technical material related to your true goal. Simultaneously, control your physical and digital environment. Assume all channels are monitored, digital messages, casual office chatter, even offhand remarks to family. This is not paranoia. It is procedural discipline. The information you possess about your own goal is classified material. Treat it as such. Protocol 4. The misdirection of progress. Your true progress will be invisible. However, you must account for the human expectation of visible activity. Therefore, you will publicly make progress only on your cover story or on skills so fundamental they are untraceable to a single end. You might be seen improving your physical fitness, learning to code, or studying a language. These are foundational, multi-applicable skills that support countless narratives, including your hidden one. They create a credible image of self-improvement without pointing to a specific target. Your visible milestones should never line up directly with your concealed objective. The real milestones are logged only in your internal ledger. Protocol 5. Asset Identification and Non-Disclosure Agreements, NDAs of trust. Very rarely, you may require a single collaborator. The selection process is extreme. This person is not chosen for friendship, but for complementary skill, proven discretion, and aligned incentive. The test of their capacity is not a conversation about your goal, but a prolonged observation of their handling of other sensitive information. Do they gossip? Do they seek status by revealing secrets? Once selected, you do not share your dream. You present a discrete, contained piece of work requiring their skill. You frame it as a discrete project, not a grand vision. You bind them with mutual benefit, not emotion. They are a tool for a specific function, not a confidant for your soul. You must be prepared to sever the collaboration the moment their operational security wavers. Execution of these protocols will feel unnatural. It will feel cold, isolated, and even paranoid. This feeling is the sensation of your old, vulnerable identity decaying. The discomfort is the friction of sovereignty being forged. You are no longer a participant in the communal campfire, sharing hopes and warming yourself with the collective breath. You are a sentry in the dark, perimeter silent, guarding a flame that will one day ignite everything. The protocols are your drill. Perform them until they are reflex. Your freedom depends on it. This is the final, irrevocable step. All prior protocols are mechanical. They are what you do. This chapter concerns what you become. Without this transformation, you are merely a man performing exercises in deceit, straining under the burden of pretense. You will eventually crack. True, unshakable silence is not an act of willpower. It is the natural emission of a new identity. You must undergo a controlled demolition of the old self, the self that was constructed by and for the approval of others, and from the rubble, engineer a sovereign entity whose validation is entirely endogenous. The old identity is a parasite. It feeds on external acknowledgement. Its sense of reality is confirmed by the reactions it provokes, the nods of agreement, the words of encouragement, the recognition of its struggles and ambitions. This identity believes it is an individual, but it is in fact a colony, host to the expectations, opinions, and emotional needs of everyone it has ever disclosed to. When you share a goal, you are not just sharing information. You are grafting a piece of your identity onto another person and making its worth dependent on their nurturing. This is why rejection of your ideas feels like a physical wound, and why encouragement feels like fuel. You have outsourced your core energy source. The death of this identity begins the moment you sever these external grafts and allow the parasite to starve. The sovereign identity is defined by one principle: internal referentiality. Your compass, your metrics for success, your sense of progress, and your ultimate worth are calibrated solely against your own internal ledger and the immutable facts of your accumulating power. The opinions of others become data points, whether patterns to be noted for strategic navigation, not temperatures by which you set your emotional climate. Does your concealed goal advance? That is the only question that holds meaning. The pleasure you once derived from describing the masterpiece is now derived exclusively from the act of chiseling the stone, unseen in your workshop. The satisfaction is in the craftsmanship itself, in the private knowledge of increasing capability. This shift transforms the burden of secrecy into the privilege of autonomy. You are no longer hiding, you are protecting. You are no longer silent, you are self-contained. The transition is a conscious practice of mortification. You must actively deny the old identity its sustenance. When you achieve a minor milestone toward your true goal, you will feel a visceral pull to share it. You must feel that pull, acknowledge it as the death rattle of the parasite, and let it pass without action. Sit with the discomfort of being your own sole witness. When you face a setback, you will crave the sympathy or advice of others. You must turn inward and consult your own strategic ledger instead. This repeated denial is not repression. It is the strengthening of a new psychological muscle. Over time, the need for the external drip feed diminishes. You will find the silence growing comfortable, then preferable, and finally powerful. You become a closed system, a perpetual motion engine of ambition and execution. The result is a form of social stealth that is perfect because it is not an act. The sovereign does not pretend to be humble or unambitious. He genuinely does not require the world to see his ambition for it to be real to him. His cover story is not a lie. It is simply the most surface-level, least interesting layer of a deeply layered being. This makes him utterly unconcerned with personal branding, with winning arguments, with claiming credit. He cedes the spotlight, because the light is irrelevant to his work. He is freed from the exhausting theater of self-presentation. Others will perceive him as focused, perhaps quiet, intensely present, and ultimately inscrutable. They may call him enigmatic. They will not sense the dormant volcano, because he emits no heat, no smoke, only the quiet, imposing gravity of mass concentrated in one place. This is the identity of silent conquest. The conqueror is not the one who announces his campaign with fanfare. He is the one whose borders have already expanded before the first herald can be sent. Your kingdom is first built in the silent territory of your own mind, fortified by disciplined thought, and populated by the tangible assets you accumulate unseen. When you finally reveal your hand, not by declaration, but by undeniable result, it will not be seen as the beginning of your rise, but as its logical, inevitable conclusion. The world will not have seen you climb, they will simply find you at the summit. And they will never know how you got there, which is the foundation of every lasting myth, and every enduring power. Forget everything else. Let the mechanisms, protocols, and identity shifts distill into a single, corrosive truth. This is the law that admits no exception, the principle that tolerates no weakness. If you remember one sentence from this, let it be this: your true goal dies the moment it touches the air between your lips. This is not a metaphor. It is the operational reality of power. Speaking it is not sharing, it is sacrifice. You are sacrificing sovereignty for sentiment, advantage for acknowledgement, and inevitability for the fleeting warmth of being understood. Consider this your final briefing. The world operates on a simple economy of attention. When you reveal a true goal, you are spending your most valuable currency, the element of strategic surprise and the silent accumulation of force to purchase the cheapest commodity available, the opinion of others. It is a catastrophic trade deficit. Every person who hears your aim becomes a stakeholder in an enterprise they did not build, with the power to withdraw their perceived support, to doubt aloud, to offer unsolicited advice that dilutes your original vision. You have voluntarily assembled a board of directors for your life, composed of people who lack the information, risk, or conviction to be entitled to a seat. Their whispers will become committees in your mind. Their skepticism will become your doubt. You have fractured your own authority and distributed the pieces. Therefore, the commandment is absolute. Become the architect, not the town crier. The architect works from sealed blueprints. He does not stand in the public square debating the placement of each beam with passers-by. He calculates, he directs, he builds. The town crier announces the visions of others. He is a conduit for noise, dependent on the crowd's reaction for his sense of purpose. You must choose your category irrevocably. There is no hybrid. Any utterance of a true goal is a regression into the crier's role. It is a betrayal of the architect within you. The quality of your silence is the direct measure of your potential for power. Test yourself. The pressure to speak is the gauge. If you feel it, you are weak. If you withstand it, you are growing strong. If the thought no longer occurs, you have arrived. This is the final filter. The path ahead is solitary by design. It is not for the social animal, the validation seeker. The man who believes his worth is negotiated in conversation. It is for the sovereign operator. The silent conquest is not a tactic you employ sometimes. It is the permanent condition of your ascent. You will not be celebrated until your work is done, and by then, celebration will be a trivial byproduct you can afford to ignore. The reward is not applause at the end. The reward is the unassailable fortress of your own making, built brick by brick in the dark, known entirely only to you. The instruction is complete. From this moment, you are either applying this law or you are violating it. There is no third option. There is no workshop, no community, no hand-holding. There is only the decision, and then the cold, quiet work. Go build something no one saw coming.